Big U's son has been taken out.
It's been total chaos ever since the heartbreaking murder of Big U's son, Jabari Henley, on Halloween night. And now things have spiraled into something wild.
Y'all want to sign too, Grimy? Look at these two dudes, Yui and Nipsey Hussle. On the block.
In a shocking twist of retaliation, Nipsey's old affiliates, who believe Big U had something to do with their homie's death, just leaked a mind-blowing clip showing Big U's final moments with his son. And believe me, this footage is insane. The clip digs up a painful chapter that many thought was buried for good.
Yeah. We still out here. Hey, well, you did. Hey, we on tape, man. Y'all don't want to sign too, Grimy. Y'all want to sign too, Grimy. Look at these two dudes, Yui and Nipsey Hussle. On the block.
In the ruthless world of LA street politics, where your name is your currency and every move can spark a war, even a few seconds of old footage can reignite decades of tension. When that grainy throwback hit Instagram Live in late October 2025, the whole city felt the blast. The video showed three legends posted up on a Crenshaw corner, vibing like brothers before fame, money, and betrayal tore everything apart. There was Eugene Big U Henley, the late Nipsey Hussle, and Big U's young son Jabari, better known as Baby Y.
See the clip when he was live? Okay, but and they said justice for Nip? Wait.
Yeah, that's, yeah. And
what did he do? He started laughing.
Justice for Nip.
Back then, these three were seen as the future of South LA, symbols of unity and growth, repping hope when the streets were begging for a win. But what should have been a heartfelt memory turned into dynamite, sparking anger, suspicion, and heartbreak that's now bleeding through the whole city. The footage runs under a minute, raw and untouched, straight from the trenches. You can hear Big U narrating, his tone heavy with pride. The sound of a father and OG watching his young one find his way in the game. But that same pride is now being twisted into something darker, as this innocent moment becomes the fuel for wild accusations and revenge rumors flying across the streets like wildfire. To really grasp why this single clip has the hood on edge, you gotta understand who these three men were and the empire they were trying to build before it all went left.
Homie, they killed Nip too. Let's not forget, homie. They killed Nipsey Hussle. Eric Holder was not a lone actor in that. If you go back and follow the details, Nip and Big U got into it. Big U hit Nip Daddy across the head with a bat. His brother had to come out and shoot the gun.
Nipsey Hussle, born Ermias Joseph Asghedom on August 15, 1985, wasn't just a Grammy-nominated artist. He was a visionary who saw beyond the gang lines and block wars. He dreamed of black ownership, community power, and breaking the chains that kept his people locked in cycles of pain and poverty. Coming up in the heart of Rollins 60s Crip territory, with an Eritrean father and African-American mother, Nipsey lived at the crossroads of two worlds, and that mix gave his story real depth. By 2018, his album Victory Lap dropped at number 4 on the Billboard 200, selling over 53,000 copies first week and earning that well-deserved Grammy nod. But even then, nobody knew just how heavy the cost of his rise and the loyalty surrounding him would soon become.
And I want to talk about, Big U. His son was assassinated last night out there in LA. Absolutely nasty work, man. Again, Big U, his son, Baby Huey, or Big Huey, right? He was assassinated last night on Halloween out there in LA.
But Nipsey's real legacy wasn't about record sales or Billboard placements. It was about ownership, empowerment, and breaking the system from the inside out. That man bought back his block. The Marathon clothing store, all his. The Vector 90 STEM hub, built from scratch to give kids in the hood a shot at something greater than the streets. And that Crenshaw strip he dropped $4.5 million on. That was his chess move to keep black money flowing within the community instead of letting it get swallowed by corporate sharks and gentrifiers.
Big U's son has been taken out. If you don't know who Big U is, just a simple Google search would, would suffice. Big U allegedly had something to do with the killing of Nipsey Hussle. That's never been proven.
Meanwhile, Eugene Big U Henley, born around 1967, was walking his own dangerous but parallel road through the same cutthroat LA streets. A certified Rollin 60s Crip with a heavy rep, Big U had already caught a serious bid for attempted murder back in '96. When he got out in 2004, he came home talking transformation, saying prison had changed him. He even founded the Community Intervention Alliance a year later, stepping into a peacemaker role and trying to squash decades-long gang wars that had been spilling blood across generations. By 2009, when Nipsey was still grinding as an independent hustler with nothing but ambition and mixtapes, he linked up with Big U's unique music in a 10-year management deal that reshaped the West Coast forever. Big U schooled him on the all-money-in mindset. No middlemen, no label chains, no creative control lost, just pure independence and ownership. That philosophy became the heartbeat of Nipsey's empire and the foundation of his famous marathon mentality.
You know what I mean? This is up. I'm gonna be honest, bro, because even though, you know what I mean, his son claimed Crip, you know what I'm saying? That's what you seen him with Nip in the little reel, and that's what he claimed. I don't think he was like probably actively out here hitting people. You know what I'm saying? He was kind of born into it. You know what I mean? Because it's like your dad is Big U.
Then there was Jabari, Baby Y Henley, Big U's son, caught in the middle of two worlds he never asked for. Born March 15, 1991, Jabari wasn't trying to be a street legend like his pops or a football star like his brother Deanne Henley, who was out there balling as a linebacker for the LA Chargers. Instead, Jabari stayed low-key, holding down a steady job as a warehouse supervisor at a logistics company in Compton, dropping a few tracks here and there under the name Baby Y. Everyone who knew him said the same thing. He kept to himself, stayed out the mix, and didn't chase street glory. He was focused on raising his 10-year-old daughter, trying hard to break the same generational curses that had taken so many before him. But peace doesn't last long in LA, especially when old wounds get reopened at the worst possible time. When that footage resurfaced, LA was already a powder keg ready to blow. By March 2025, Big U was knee-deep in a federal RICO indictment, 43 counts that painted him as the shot caller of a mafia-style operation run through the Rollin 60 Crips. Prosecutors accused him of everything from conspiracy to commit murder for hire in the 2021 killing of rapper Rayshawn Rocky Williams over a diss track, to extorting over 50 marijuana dispensaries under fake protection fees, all laundered through his nonprofit. And that wasn't all, and the feds also threw in allegations of human trafficking through his record label and $1.2 million in bank fraud tied to COVID relief loans. Straight system finessing. Big U was locked up without bail at the Metropolitan Detention Center in downtown LA, facing life, with trial set for May 2026. His lawyer had already dropped out in September 2025, leaving him to fight the entire federal government solo. But the wildest part? The RICO charges weren't even his biggest problem in the streets. Since Nipsey's death on March 31, 2019, the conspiracy whispers around Big U's name never stopped. Even after years of debunking and denials, those rumors still creep through every barbershop, podcast, and hood corner, like the truth still hiding somewhere no one's ready to face. Eric Holder Jr. got hit with the hammer in February 2022, convicted and sentenced to 60 years to life for the cold-blooded murder of Nipsey Hussle.
They say he was going to a smoke shop. I don't know why he was going to a smoke shop over there, but you know what I mean? That kind of sealed the deal for him, you know what I mean? Condolences to him, condolences to the family. You know, Big U, he going through his thing, and he fighting a whole different battle, so I know he in there mourning right now, and it's just, no parent wants to hear that their child, anything happened to their child. I don't care what, even if the child was doing bad shit or not. You know what I'm saying?
The trial spelled it out crystal clear. This wasn't some organized hit or secret setup by Big U. It was personal beef, fueled by accusations of snitching and bruised pride. But when it comes to street legends, facts don't always win. Stories do. And the story of Big U being the snake in Nipsey's circle became gospel for those hungry to point a finger. That theory found new life when a loose cannon, literally named Loose Cannon, a Rollin 60s affiliate and music exec, dropped wild claims in 2024. He swore Big U called him just 30 minutes before Nipsey's murder, allegedly warning him about handling the MIU's noise. At first, Cannon brushed it off as Big U just talking slick, but years later, he flipped the script.
If you know what's going on, right? If you in LA, or if you be in LA, or if you know what's going on in LA right now, it's some going on. Just look at all the shootings. Look at the people that was involved in the shootings, or the alleged groups, and all these shootings that's been going on this year, probably this summer, starting this summer. It's been turned up, bro. And it's kind of like, even though there's a lot of peace pushing going on, it's a lot of coexisting with different gangs and sets and some have generational history, bro. So even if be docile a little bit, all it takes for is something crazy to happen or somebody else to get hit, and then they're going to tit for tat.
Saying he now believed that call was the spark that set everything in motion. Thing is, none of it ever checked out. No phone records, no trial mentions, no receipts whatsoever. Still, that didn't stop the streets from running with it. People wanted a villain, and Big U fit the part too perfectly. Then came the footage that lit the rumor mill back up. A short Instagram live clip where someone off camera shouted, "Justice for Nip!" And Big U's reaction? A laugh. One laugh that would haunt him for years. Whether it was nervous, awkward, or completely taken out of context, that sound turned into digital evidence for his haters. They swore it was disrespect, that he was mocking Nipsey's death, and once that narrative caught fire, there was no putting it out. The more Big U denied any connection to Nipsey's murder, the more people started side-eyeing him. His silence, his tone, his words, everything got dissected like evidence in a courtroom that never closed. And when Wack 100, Nipsey's former manager, jumped into the mix, it only made things hotter. On a No Jumper episode in February 2024, Wack claimed Big U had snitched to the feds during a 2018 RICO probe, supposedly giving up intel that made Nipsey look like an informant. He said that's what got Nipsey labeled in the streets and that the snitch whispers eventually led to his downfall. Coming from someone who'd been deep in Nipsey's inner circle, those accusations hit hard. Then Charleston White, never one to stay quiet, added more gas to the blaze. He claimed there had been physical fights between Big U and Nipsey's family over money, power, and control. According to him, this wasn't just about snitching. It was about dominance, ego, and extortion behind the scenes. So when that old footage of Big U, Nipsey, and Jabari, all together, all smiles, resurfaced in late October 2025, it reopened every wound the city thought had healed. The streets lit up like a war zone of emotions, anger, grief, betrayal, all bubbling at once. But what nobody could have predicted was what came next. Within just 72 hours of that clip dropping, one of those three men would be gone for real. Jabari Baby Henley, Big U's own son. The same kid seen in that nostalgic video, now laid out in a morgue while the internet exploded with twisted celebration posts calling it street justice served. Halloween night turned into a nightmare. Around 11:11 p.m. on October 31st, 2025, at the intersection of South Figueroa and West 69th Street, shots rang out, loud, fast, and final. The moment the clock hit that cursed time, South LA went from tense to tragic. And what came next would shake every corner of the city. Vermont's loss in the neighborhood where sleep is a luxury. That's where it all went down. Jabari Baby Henley had pulled up to a small corner smoke shop locals knew as Fig and 69 Smoke Spot. One of those hood staples that's been holding the block down for decades, selling swishers, lottery tickets, and energy drinks to people just trying to make it through another day. The shop sat deep in Rollin 60's Crip territory, though the business itself wasn't tied to any set, according to LAPD's Gang Impact Unit. It was just trying to stay alive in a part of South LA where survival itself means walking the line between peace and danger every single night. Witnesses nearby, two customers leaving the shop, and a food truck vendor grilling up late-night eats all described the scene almost word for word. Around 11:10 p.m., a black or dark-colored sedan, maybe a newer Camry or Accord, crept up to the curb with purpose, like they had business to handle. Jabari was on the sidewalk, phone in hand, and casually leaned toward the passenger window to chop it up with whoever was inside. For a good 10 to 15 seconds, it looked calm. Just another quick conversation between familiar faces. Then, without warning, everything turned to chaos. Gunfire ripped through the night. At least 7 shots, maybe more, echoing down Figueroa like thunder. The sound of metal hitting flesh shattered the Halloween stillness as the shooter emptied what investigators later confirmed to be a 9mm or .40 caliber semi-auto. Jabari took 4 bullets with brutal accuracy, 2 tearing through his torso and abdomen, 1 hitting his left arm, and 1 ripping through his thigh. He stumbled backward toward the smoke shop's entrance, clutching his side as blood spilled fast across the concrete. The sedan peeled off immediately, swinging north up Figueroa and cutting onto 68th before vanishing into the dark maze of South LA streets. No plates, no faces, no witnesses close enough to ID the shooter, just gunfire, panic, and silence. By 11:14 p.m., LA Fire Station 46 paramedics were on scene, finding Jabari barely hanging on, gasping shallow breaths, his body fighting a battle it couldn't win. Those last desperate moments, the kind that haunt anyone who's ever seen real loss, played out under the glow of red and blue lights. EMTs hit CPR hard, pumping his chest in rhythm, flooding his veins with epinephrine, refusing to give up. But the damage was catastrophic, the bleeding unstoppable. At 11:28 p.m., after every lifeline failed, they made the call no medic ever wants to make. Jabari "Baby Y" Henley, gone at just 34 years old. His body stayed behind for the LAPD homicide unit and the coroner's van, but his soul joined the long list of sons, brothers, and fathers who never got to see what could have been. Another name etched into South Central's tragic history. Another dream cut down before it had a chance to grow. The coroner's report, filed under case number 2025-04512, confirmed what everyone already knew. Death by multiple gunshot wounds with massive blood loss and a torn pulmonary artery that caused him to bleed out within minutes. Toxicology came back clean. No alcohol, no drugs, nothing. This wasn't a setup gone wrong or a night of bad decisions. This was cold, targeted execution. Jabari wasn't out here wilding. He wasn't caught lacking. He was simply carrying a last name that painted a target on his back in a city where your bloodline can decide your fate. His death was ruled a homicide, and the shooters, still ghosts, nowhere to be found. Miles away, behind the steel walls of the Metropolitan Detention Center, Big U was sound asleep, unaware that his world had just shattered. Around 1:30 a.m. on November 1st, his cellmate and co-defendant, Loose Cannon, got a contraband call from the outside, a voice trembling on the other end with words that no father should ever have to hear. The news hit Big U like a freight train, slamming him into a reality darker than any prison cell could hold. Jabari's death was the streets delivering the justice that the legal system had failed to provide. Never mind that Jabari was a different person who'd done nothing wrong to nobody. Never mind that he had a 10-year-old daughter who would now grow up without a father in her. In the twisted logic of internet, mob justice, and street politics, bloodlines made you guilty by association and surnames were death sentences that could be carried out at any time of 8,000 analyzed posts from November 1st through 2nd. A staggering 62% in vote. Nipsey's name treating Jabari's murder as somehow connected to or justified by events from 2019 that had nothing to do with him. Only 28% were neutral condolences, expressing sympathy for the loss of life and respect for the dead, while 10% actively condemned the mockery and celebration, a minority voice drowned out by the tsunami of people who've convinced themselves that celebrating a young father's murder was somehow honoring Nipsey's legacy and keeping his marathon going. One user captured the horror of what was happening. Writing, "Don't care about Big U, but his son didn't deserve this." But compassionate voices like that were overwhelmed by thousands of posts treating Jabari's death as entertainment, as karmic retribution, as something to celebrate and joke about, rather than mourn with respect. Some commentary provided insight into LA's volatile gang dynamic and why Jabari might have been targeted regardless of the Nipsey conspiracy theories floating around. Those familiar with South LA's street politics understood the dangers of being born into certain families in the hood. The analysis continued painting a picture of a young man caught in an impossible situation, born into a world he didn't create, carrying a name that made him a target regardless of his own choices or actions in life. Social media platforms responded with varying degrees of effectiveness, but the damage had already been done by the time they took action to remove content. Twitter X suspended 15 accounts for doxing on November 1st. Accounts that had posted Jabari's home address, his workplace information, and details about his daughter in a grotesque display of digital harassment that extended beyond death and showed zero respect. TikTok demonetized 200 videos for graphic content, removing the ability for creators to profit from footage of a man dying on the pavement, though the videos themselves remained visible and continued to spread through the platform. Instagram flagged 50 reels under hate speech policies, adding warning labels, but not removing content that explicitly celebrated murder and disrespected the dead. It was too little, too late. The post had been seen by millions. The mockery had spread like wildfire through the culture, and somewhere in a detention center cell, Big U was learning that not only had he lost his seed, but the internet was actively celebrating it as justice finally being served. Even some of Nipsey's own affiliates and real ones, people who had every reason to harbor resentment toward Big U over the years of tension, tried desperately to pump the brakes on the ugliness consuming social media and the streets. Black Sam, Nipsey's brother and the executor of his estate, posted via Mora Records Instagram on November 1st. Pain multiplies pain, honor Nip with peace, not this. It was a direct rebuke to those claiming they were honoring Nipsey's memory by celebrating Jabari's death. A reminder that Nipsey himself had spent his final years trying to break cycles of violence and bring peace to the hood. Not perpetuate beef and retaliation, but rational voices calling for humanity and perspective. We're overwhelmed by thousands of people who convinced themselves that mocking a dead man and his grieving father was somehow righteous and justified by street code. LAPD reported a 22% uptick in anonymous tips to Crime Stoppers. 150 calls flooded in between November 1st and 2nd, with many callers specifically mentioning old beefs, Nipsey revenge, and theories connecting Jabari's murder to the 2019 shooting and elaborate conspiracies. Detectives had to sift through this mountain of speculation and street rumors, separating genuine leads from conspiracy theories and social media narratives that had no basis in investigative reality. The internet had become both a tool and an obstacle in solving the murder, providing potential witnesses while simultaneously contaminating the investigation with theories that led nowhere and wasted precious time. The broader context made everything even more volatile and dangerous. Some observers noted the treacherous timing and escalating tensions throughout Los Angeles that had been building. As of November 6, 2025, no arrests have been made in Jabari Henley's murder, and the streets remain hot. The investigation remains open and active, with LAPD detectives still processing surveillance footage, conducting ballistics analysis, and interviewing potential witnesses who might know who pulled the trigger.